Let's get on with part two of MLA formatting. Specifically, we're going to focus on the works cited page here. This document should look familiar because I drafted this with you together in the first video. Okay, and so if you're forgetting this, it's not looking familiar, you want a refresher, you want to go back for the body of the essay, this video is focusing just on the works cited page. All right, and so we have our essay here. Let's just say that for all intents and purposes, this is where the essay ends. When you start your works cited page, you want a completely new page. Okay, now please do not press enter a whole bunch of times and then start the works cited page there. It will not work that way. For the same reason, in the previous video, I told you to not type in the number. You have to actually insert it with the system that they have in the app if you're using Word or Pages, or in here in Google Doc. Okay? So that's just how it is. We don't want to keep pressing enter because if you ever edit anything in your essay, you make it longer, you make it shorter, it will shift the works cited page with it and it's not going to be in the right place. Okay, the works cited page must start on an entirely new page that is immediately after the body of your paper. Okay, so we're starting off here. This is the end of my essay. If you have yours open, you can go ahead and just follow my direction. If you don't have it open, you might want to have it open. Okay, and so I'm going to just go ahead and there's a couple ways you can do it. You can go to Insert, Page Elements, and then go, oh sorry, not Page Elements, my bad. Insert Break, and then Page Break. Notice here for Google Docs it says Control Enter. That means you can press Control Enter if you're on a Mac. It translates to Command Enter. Alright, and so if you click that, it will shift everything immediately to a new page. And here, as an example, I'm pressing Control Enter, and then boom, I'm now on page 3, Control Enter, page 4. That's the function. It just immediately shifts to a new page. But that's not what we're concerned with here. We just want one page. One new page is enough. And so you might notice on mine it is. I'm not sure about on yours, but on mine you'll see that I still have the indent from the body of the essay. You want to get rid of that. Let me show you why. If I simply just center and I write works cited here, you will notice that it's not actually centered. Maybe, if you have your eye trained for that. It's very obvious to me because I've written so many of these papers and I've graded so many of these papers. It is very obvious that it's not centered. What you want to do is you want to get rid of it. So that's where it needs to be. Okay? So let's say that you did not type the title. That's fine. If we simply are just here, and then let's say we're not centered yet back to where we are, what you can simply do when you're here is instead of dragging the margin, you can just press backspace and that will generally reset. Okay, it works the same in Microsoft Word as well. So you want it to be reset here, and then from there you can center and then have works cited page. Okay, so works cited, that is your title. Please note, this is the only title you can have. There's no option. There is no option. It must be works, capital W, and plural with an S. It must be cited with a capital C and past tense with a D. It must be like this, okay? It's not work cited, works cite. It's not, please, you must, it must be works cited, okay? Please double check on that, okay? You will get points marked off. There's only one title. It's the same title every single time, so we just gotta do that, all right? So from there, you're gonna move on to the next line. And you'll see here now I'm centered. Our entries are not going to be centered. And so again, I just press backspace. I can get rid of it. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just go up here, change it to align left. Okay? Whatever it is, you want it on that side. So typically, when I tell students that they need to make a works cited and I teach them how to do it, I teach them to Google. Okay, so and that's exactly what I'm going to do here this time as well. Why do I not have a PowerPoint? Why do I not go over like a whole explanation of it? Because I frankly just don't find that helpful. I'm going to show you the general logic behind it when we see some examples, but overall, I don't think it's helpful for me to stress that students understand it or memorize it or anything of the sort. I just don't think that's helpful. We're in ninth edition of MLA at the time of this recording today, and that's 9 editions, which means that things change, rules change, and no one is ever gonna quiz you on how to properly do a works cited page. That's just typically not how it works. It's not the expectation that we have in academia. The expectation is that you know it exists and you know where to find the directions. And once you find the directions, you're expected to be able to follow it. That is the expectation in academia. You won't ever be quizzed on, hey, is this one correct or is that one correct and why, right? That's typically not how it goes. And even if you are quizzed on that, which you might be in this class, okay? But if you are, you are open to looking it up and figuring it out. You're not expected to have it memorized. You're not expected to know off the top of your head. That's just not what we do. Okay. So please just don't get stressed out about it. This is really just simply you looking up the information and then following directions. That is what this page is. It is pretty much testing your ability to follow directions. Okay? So that's what we want to do. So let's say we're just gonna go over 2 examples. Let's say I want to cite a book. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Google. Okay? And then I'm going to look up how to cite blank Purdue Owl. Okay, and it's just going to be that phrase. How to cite blank, sorry, not Purdue Owl, MLA Purdue. Okay, and notice you'll see here how to cite. We already have some suggestions here, but notice how you have APA, MLA, right? These are all different. These are different things, and they have different rules in their formatting, in their structure, and the ordering of the information. So you have to make sure you type MLA when you're searching so that you get the correct hit as the top one on the list. And you also want to type in Purdue because there's just frankly many of options for students. There's many of resources, right? There's Scrivener, EasyBib, LibGuide, there's just to name a few, right? The common ones that pop up other than Purdue. But Purdue is the one that professors will generally accept and will follow and will consider a legitimate source, a online digital textbook of some sort, or things like that. And so Purdue is a safe one. I recommend Purdue. I use Purdue. I actually don't know off the top of my head anyone who does not use Purdue. Okay? So anyway, how to cite, and we're going to try a book. Okay, so how to cite a book, MLA Purdue. And then you can see it with all the purple. That's how often that just this fact that I have these sites up before. So I'm just gonna click that right here, MLA Works Cited Page Books, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Use the right keyword. So MLA, and then we have here. Please note the changes. We have here general format for any citation. And this is just an overall view for you, okay? And so I'm going to explain that in a bit, but for now, we just want to see here, we have basic book format. I'm going to move myself, actually, sorry. We have the basic book format here, and notice here how we have on Purdue pretty much an equation for you to use. A little note here, and then we have some examples. And so that is the primary way you're going to use Purdue. You're going to look up the information, you're going to read all of the directions, and you're going to see what the examples are doing, and then you want to imitate. You just want to imitate it. And so that's kind of why I called it an equation, because you're literally seeing what information you need, and you're just inserting it for your entry. Okay? I say it's like an equation because it's like, hey, if you have y equals mx plus b, you just insert whatever for the variable and you solve the others. It's the same thing here. Nothing moves. Okay, this is pretty much set in stone. And so we want to follow this. And so we just want last name, comma, first name, period, title of the book, city of publication, publisher, and you just want to follow that. The reason why I don't have a whole PowerPoint thing or like an explanation is because even with just books, look, we have here book with one author. It's a certain example here. We have books with more than one author. What do you do then? two or more books by the same author. Oh, hey, we have more rules. Books by a corporate author, books with no author, a translated book, a republished book, an edition book. There's so many, right? How to cite an anthology, the Bible, right? There's all of these, a poem, short story examples, article, multi-volume work, right? Encyclopedia, introduction, a book published before a certain year. There is just so many things going on here. That is why I do not recommend, I just don't think it's helpful to teach students because it's just frankly easier to look it up. Okay. So anyway, so we have here a basic book format. And so let's just say that I want to cite, for example, sorry. Let's just say, for example, that I want to cite the book that we used for shitty first drafts. Okay, and so that's going to be from Bird by Bird. And so I'm just use that as an example. Her name, the author's name is Anne Lamott, so that's going to be Lamott, comma, and period. And then we have the title, Bird by Bird, period. And it looks like here I have an extra space. I do need to get rid of that. So Lamont and Bird by Bird, and then we have it is by Anchor Books, and it was published back in 1925. And that's pretty much how it's going to look. And you'll see here the way that I did that, I just did it one by one. It matches pretty much what's here. A book with one author. We have last name, comma, first name, period. Last name, comma, first name, period. And then after the space, we have the title, italicized, period. Title, italicized, period. And then we have publisher, comma, year, period. Publisher, comma, year, period. Okay? And then that's it. And then you want to pretty much look it up, find the answer, and then copy. Copy exactly as they do. Okay, now just note that if you have a period in the example, you must have a period in the right place, and you must have a comma in the right place. And where they are placed actually does matter. And so that is the part that I will explain to you right here. You'll see here the general format for any citation. We have a whole bunch of periods and we have a whole bunch of commas. So how do you know? Well, intuitively, you have a comma when you have different phrases, ideas, descriptors within one sentence. And then your period ends your sentence when you have completed your thought. And it's a similar concept, it's a similar logic here. You have a period whenever you are ending one type of information. And you have a comma whenever you are ever separating information of the same type. So what do I mean by that? You'll see here we have author, period. If we take a look here, it's actually last name, comma, first name, period. And that is because last name and first name is two different information about the same author. And so those two pieces of information are separated by a comma. Once we have a period, it tells the reader end of author info. And then we have the title of the work, period, end of title info. We then have city of publication, comma, publisher, comma, publication date, period, end of publication info. That's the logic there. Okay, and so that's also the logic in this huge block of text here. We have author, period, title, period. We have title of container, comma, any translators, editors, version numbers, volume numbers, publisher, publication date, all of that stuff, and then period. All of this is for the container title. Okay, and what is the title of a container? The container is where the published work is held. And this is going to be very common for short works. If you are quoting a article in a journal or a magazine, right, or in a newspaper, New York Times, that is the title of the container. The actual title of the article, that is the title that belongs right here. New York Times is the title of the container. The New Yorker, title of the container. The Guardian, The Sun, the LA Times, LA Review of Books, those would be title of container. Okay, that's what that means. Second container's title, that is not going to be quite relevant to us for most of this class. This is more common if you're doing like research papers and you're going into a database. And so the database holds the journal and the journal holds the reading that you're actually trying to source. That's what that is. You don't need to know that, but if you are curious and this is confusing for you, that's what that is. Yeah, so that's the general idea, and that's what we want to do. Okay, a couple other things I want to show you before we wrap this up. Okay, so I'm going to now Google how to cite a web page MLA Purdue. Okay, and so here, MLA applications. That sounds right up my alley. So we see here, this is the web page here. We have all this information, best practices for managing online sources. Important note on the use of URLs. These are the things that you probably want to kind of just read, understand. And then we have, again, use the following format. We have author, title, type of container, and this is just the same thing as I reviewed earlier. And then we have a whole bunch of stuff. We have citing an entire website, and then a page on a website, an ebook, an image, an article online scholarly journal, article from a database, right, an email, and again, we have all these options or possibilities, I suppose, depending on your sources. And so, just like always, we want to Google. In this case, we're pretty much going to not cite an entire website. We are just citing simply a page on a website. And then you want to follow exactly as is. It's going to be last name, comma, first name, period. And then we have the title of the work in quotes, not italicized. And then the period is inside the quote. We then have the title of the container as a comma, as italicized, and then we have a comma, and we have the URL, all of this, and then we end with a period, and then we have access date. That is the date that you accessed your quote. Okay, and so that's what we want to practice here. We're here, and then I'm just going to, and then you just want to follow along. So it would be pretty much the same thing. It would be author last, comma, author first name, and then period, and then we open quote, title of the article, period, end quote, italicized, title of web page, website, and then, title of the website, comma, and then we have publication info and publication info, whatever we have, if we have the date, if we have anything that we can find, comma, and then we have www dot, and then you're going to pretty much paste your URL here, okay, and then period. And then we have our access date. So we have accessed, and then we have some kind of day, month, year. I'll just say, let's say 7 October, for example, 2025. As an example, period. Okay? Couple things here. Notice how this is blue. You want to get rid of it. And so you're just going to go over here and it's just remove hyperlink. It cannot be blue. It cannot be underlined. That does not belong in this essay. All right. Second thing to note is that you can spell the month out completely. You can also simply just press period here, abbreviate it. How do you know what to do? Just Google it. MLA abbreviations Purdue, and then a whole list of months will come up. Essentially, you want to shorten months if they are more than 4 letters. So May, June, and July, those months will never be shortened because they're short enough already. Okay. Next thing, last 2 things I want to know. One is that we need to do formatting here. Okay, and now, so here's an example of what that looks like. If you look here, we can go to the sample paper on this page, and you'll notice here we have the sample paper with all the annotations. Showed us the same thing last time. We scroll all the way down. You'll see we have works cited. And notice how the first line sticks out like a sore thumb for each entry. That is what we need to do. It is the opposite of the body of the essay. Okay, in the body of the essay, the first line is indented for every new paragraph, and every other line is not. It is the opposite here. In the works cited page, the first line is not indented, every other line is. And we need to practice that. And so please do not press enter and tab every single time. Do not mess up the formatting in that way. What you want to do is you want to highlight everything, and then you want to drag this right here. Okay, and so what I prefer to do is I prefer to drag twice. I drag the whole thing over half an inch, and I go up to the rectangle and I just drag that back. And notice how it immediately indents for you. And then I can just keep going. Any other information for your source can just continue, and it will automatically indent. Right? Notice how it just automatically indents for me. Okay? That's what we want. Notice how up here, right, in this works cited page, we have rectangle, triangle. In the body of the essay, it's reversed. Triangle, rectangle. Okay? So that's what it should look like. Works cited, body. Works cited, body. Right here. Okay? Last thing, it must be in alphabetical order. So here we are not. L comes after A, and so very simple. I can just simply take this and I can just drag it here, change the order, boom. Okay, but it must be in alphabetical order. I will dock points if it's not in alphabetical order. All right, and that's it.